Hey, they don't make comics like this anymore. Because the industry has moved on tremendously since 1965. This is Avengers 21, the first appearance of the Avengers villain, Atlas Man, a semi-regular enemy for the team over the years. The bitter taste of defeat. This is a great comic written by Stanley Lee with art by Mob Boss Eck and absolutely immaculate inks by Wally Woodpecker. I know one of you isn't a big lover of Eck art, but with Wally Woodpecker inking, it is the best it ever looks. He only inks them on 3 issues. This one, the previous one, which featured Swordman briefly joining the team, and then the next one, which continues this story. I wish this one had opened with the splash page from the next issue, though, to really hammer home my point about how amazing the art looks. For this, we have the classic kooky quartet lineup for the team. Captain America leading, Hawkeye, Charlotte Witch, and the Flash, one of my favourite Marvel characters. Hawkeye is doing what he is most known for in this period. Some of that will sadly be a characterisation that shit writers consistently backpedal to. Hawkeye is challenging Captain America's role as leader. Hawkeye thinks that he can do a better job than Mr. Old-Timer. The annoying thing is that the writers who reset Hawkeye to this character do the unfair job of making me look at this issue and only think of how annoying it is that this is what Hawkeye keeps getting reverted to. The point was that he grew past this and learned his place and developed respect for Captain America. The next page begins our plot. Atlas Man is introduced to us here, and what is required is some explanations. So far, the Avengers' arch-enemies have been the Bastards of Evil, a team of villains led by Baron Zero, which also featured Amanda the Enchanter. I'm mentioning her not just because I fancy her, but because she is relevant to this issue. In Avengers issue 9, Baron Zero and crew transformed a patsy into an ionically powered super champion to battle the Avengers. This Wonder Man eventually turned on his creators and sided with the Avengers. And in the issues since, Baron Zero died after a confrontation with Captain America. He was crushed under rocks. Atlas Man was one of Baron Zero's grunts, one of his soldier boys. We never actually saw him before. He wasn't established before this. But the idea is that at some point, he probably was among Baron Zero's little army that were in the story where rocks fell on him. And in this, Atlas Man knows about Wonder Man, so he presumably was around during that as well. Atlas Man has gone in search of the Baron's castle, and he discovers the machines that were used to transform Wonder Man. The comic reaches for the stratosphere with a big appearance of Amanda the Enchanter. She greets Atlas Man, and we repeat the same process on Atlas Man that we did on Wonder Man. Atlas Man goes along with it because he is smitten with Amanda the Enchanter, a character I can relate to terrifically. Together they are what remains of the Bastards of Evil, and the Andy books never list this as Atlas Man joining the Bastards of Evil. I do want to say, obviously, I'll come to it later, but Atlas Man joins the Thunderbolts and he becomes a main character in that. But I have always felt there is a serious untapped story with reuniting him and Amanda the Enchanter. Outside of one Thunderbolts annual, Atlas Man and Amanda the Enchanter have never otherwise interacted after Atlas Man's attempted redemption. In that annual even, it's set up that Atlas Man will owe Amanda the Enchanter a favour that she will one day come to collect. And she never does. No payoff to that ever. We see her one more time in Thunderbolts when Atlas Man dies in quotation marks, when she thinks to herself how disappointing it is that she will never be able to collect that favour. The two get to work screwing with the Avengers, first by making the team battle illusions created by Amanda the Enchanter that only the Avengers can see. This makes it look like the Avengers are going crazy and destroying shit and going on a rampage. And if you know Silver Age logic, this means that their careers as superheroes are over in the public's eyes. One of my favourite aspects of the Cookie Quartet era is The Flash, one of my favourite Marvel characters. Stanley Lee, he had no, let's say, desire to write a complex, layered character, and as such, this period is ample with sequences of the Flash just being a straightforward hero. It is a breath of fresh air when half the writers are hell-bent on making him diabolically evil. Atlas Man draws the Avengers to a subway tunnel. He has been tearing up the tracks, and then he knocks out their first responder, the Flash, and now the Avengers, they are blamed for destroying the subway track. It's the Silver Age. The real villain of the Silver Age is always the very fickle public who will turn on any hero at the drop of a hat. To be fair, Atlas Man and Amanda the Enchanter are somewhat cleverly trying to make people turn on the Avengers. They're putting in too much effort. If they saw how easily people turn on Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man, they would realise they only need to do about 10% of what they're doing here. The idea is that after smearing the Avengers, making everyone hate the Avengers, Atlas Man can walk in and everyone will cheer for Atlas Man beating the Avengers up. I've already alluded to it, but we'll quickly talk about Atlas Man's future. He will go up against the Avengers several more times. He'll fight some of them solo. He will join villain teams. A lot of villain teams. But he will eventually hit a slump when he is beaten by Luke Cage's. And then his power is mostly drained out of him by Nephron. In Iron Man Annual 7, which I have reviewed, and it was one of my first back issues ever, he bounces back when he receives new powers, size-changing powers. he gets to go giant. He will beat Hercules Man off to death alongside the Bastards of Evil. And he will continue as a very frequent enemy for the Avengers, especially to Hawkeye and Wonder Man. Then came Thunderbolts, a team of villains masquerading as heroes, who most of decided to stop the masquerade and become heroes. Atlas Man is a main character throughout the series. He was one of the main characters in the first ongoing series I got every month, New Thunderbolts. And after that, he briefly joined the Defenders. Then it was downhill after that, and Michael Bryan Benson made him a villain again. Atlas Man has always been a favourite character of mine. He was the first who I really set out to read ad appearances of, and a lot of his appearances are good. This, his first appearance, is one of the better first appearances for a villain character. Here is Captain America versus Atlas Man. Great action. Lovely Silver Age fight right here. Captain America, he gets creamed by Atlas Man. And next, it is Hawkeye's time to be humbled. The Silver Age often has these sorts of repetition of scenes. And I miss Charlotte Witch with black hair. Don't ever forget what Jorge Perez took from us. Hawkeye and Atlas Man is worth something because these two eventually become friends. They become teammates in Thunderbolts. But again, the Avengers are beaten by Atlas Man. And this leaves the City Council forcing the Avengers to disband. Listen, I love this. I think it is good fun. I do recommend it. I think there's a lot of charm here. And I think this one is a massively underrated Silver Age Avengers issue. 7 thumbs up, mate.